Welcome to episode 262 of Build Your House Yourself University by BYHYU. I'm your host and fellow student, Michelle Nelson, and together we'll learn the basics of home design and construction and demystify the building process so we can have more enjoyable home building journeys and build quality dream homes with or without a general contractor. Matt S. went back to the neighborhood he grew up in and build a home perfect for entertaining. This week we have part 2 of the interview with homeowner Matt S. He talks more about his cool house, which, by the way, is black, and his home building journey. He was so generous in sharing his advice and resources. So let's continue our chat with Matt. Were there any books or online resources that you used to help you through the design or construction process?
Yeah, we didn't use any old school books. We lived on Pinterest for 2 years, as I'm sure everybody listening to this has. Yeah. We also participated in 2 forums on Facebook. There was a new home building Q&A forum, and I thought that became a good resource. A lot of people would post their own questions, and if you search that group, you can find an answer to whatever question you might have, most likely. And there was a building and design for homes over 5,000 square feet on Facebook as well, which I think is how you and I got connected. So participating in those online forums was extremely helpful.
Those are great resources. It's so much easier just to have the phone in your hand or computer on hand for you to just look through and scroll through. Although, once in a while, I still, when I go into a grocery store, sometimes I'll pick up a bathroom or kitchen design magazine and just thumb through it. But usually it's nothing I haven't seen on Pinterest or, some other online resource. We talked a little bit about some cost savings ideas that you had. Let's talk about any surprise costs that you didn't anticipate. And then if you want to give us some more cost savings tips, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Surprise costs, throughout the process, in some respects, we did better than we expected. In other, respects, one of the challenges we had, of course, was our loan being locked in from the very beginning. We knew what our top end budget. There was no contingency fund, if you would, built into that process. So I wouldn't necessarily call this a cost savings tip, maybe a save yourself some money that you have to pay out of pocket outside of your loan later, and how your contract was structured. So our contract was structured based on our floor plan. All of the basics, framing and all of that was in its own category, where all of the choices that we made were on an allowance sheet. On that allowance sheet, they had things such as flooring, tile, light fixtures, plumbing, cabinetry, and countertops, because that can vary depending on what you do. And Quinn, to his credit, I think he did a very good job with that based on some of the previous homes he had built. But having said that, I would advise, if your contract is structured in a similar way with choices separately, and I guess it's called cost plus. If your contract is structured in that way, I would encourage people to participate early if you can. Give you an example: cabinetry. Our cabinets, we fell in love with custom cabinets and furniture. They're an Amish outfit in Olytic, Indiana, Montgomery, Indiana. We loved their features. We loved the customization of all of them. They were able to paint, every color that we wanted. With our sheet allocated, $40,000 for cabinets, and that's a perfectly normal and probably fine budget in most circumstances. Our budget for cabinets ended up, because we had them do everything, at around $75,000. That's just because we chose to have them do every vanity built-ins at the fireplace, built-ins at the in our office. We essentially ended up with 2 kitchens with the lounge area. We are thrilled with the price that we got. However, that would have been a punch in the gut had we only worked off of a $40,000 allowance and it turned out at 75. That would have been very painful. With that, I think another, couple of things along the way, just those overages, pea gravel ended up $3,500 more than we expected because our lot looked flat And then when we got in and shot elevations, it was a lot less flat than we expected.
Mm.
So pea gravel, we did our foundation pour in the winter. They had to add a winter additive to our concrete. So I like to joke that if you get an opportunity to come see our house, I hope the first thing you do is run down to the basement and say, that was a really good $7,000 you spent on the pea gravel and the winter concrete down here. Make sure we get some credit for that choice, if you will.
That's funny.
So yeah, those were kind of the surprises to us, if you will. In that, I think sourcing some of your own stuff is a good savings tip. I mean, certainly, hitting Prime Day for our sink and a lot of our light fixtures worked out. We definitely did the coupon clipping where we can. Grand Appliance did a good job. We ended up getting $3,000 in rebates on the appliances, that type of thing. We certainly went after it. And then for the major cost savings, I think the floor plan footprint, as I talked about earlier in part one, if you get your footprint simple on exterior walls, I think that makes a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's a big part of it.
That's a smart thing to say, Matt. Not a lot of people either realize that or talk about it. So that is really smart, because it saves from the beginning, the foundation, the drywall, all of that stuff. The more simplistic your lines and the shapes of your rooms, typically the less expensive it will be to finish those out. All right, moving on. Is there anything you would do differently, Matt, if you built again, either with the house design or the building process itself?
I think we pretty well covered those. I thought about this a lot. Honestly, everything that I was nervous about, during the build process, worked out wonderfully well when it was said and done. We were just very, very happy and pleased. I was worried at the time that we did the floor plan that we were at 14 and a half feet from our wall to a post in our living room. And I thought that was going to be kind of condensed and on the smallish side. Here's another thing you read a lot online, and if you're on a Build Your House podcast, you may be just starting building, and when you first build and that foundation goes in, your house will feel absolutely tiny.
You're so right.
Yeah, and one thing that helped me with that a little bit was the reminder that a tennis court is 2,800 square feet. So when you look at a tennis court, you don't think 2,800 square feet, but it is. You'll see when it gets framed, it feels extremely small. People say online that it feels better when drywall goes up. I actually didn't really agree. Even when drywall was up, I kind of was walking through some rooms and I was like, this does not feel big enough. This living room does not feel like it's going to support the couches. So one piece of advice in this area is wait till you get your furniture placement, then rooms start to feel a little bit better. If I had to say anything, this will be a surprise to no one. My man cave / lounge, 24 by 32. Maybe I should have made it 24 by 40. So make that a little bit bigger. That is, something different. While we're here, there were a couple other choices we made along the way that I thought, were a little bit different. We certainly did nothing in our floor plan because everybody else does it that way. We made some choices that I think, are a little bit outside the trend that I really like. One of them, as an example, is we had on our original floor plan a walk-in pantry. We were going to do the more common butler pantry that's getting pretty popular, where you have this big walk-in and you have counters and stuff, and all of your pantry items are there. And we chose not to do that. We split it instead into 3 closets that were individual. And the reason we did that is we wanted to be able to separate what we store in each of the 3 pantries, so that you could have food in one, Tupperware and storage in another, and your small appliances in another, or your holiday entertaining dishes in another pantry. So to provide that separation, I thought was really important for organization. again, goes a little bit against the grain. The
I
second thing we did a bit of against the grain was with our island. We absolutely love islands. If any of our friends are listening to this, we love your islands. We take no offense. We hope you take no offense to this. But one of the things we discovered in spending time with our friends and with the big islands that are very popular is it just becomes a magnet for people. And when you go over to somebody's house that has a large island, everybody spends the evening standing around the island. You might have 4 bar stools, but if you have 10 people, that means 6 people are standing for a couple of hours. We have a lot of moms in our group. We want them to get off their feet. One of our things was we built a dining bench into our island and have the tables next to it. And instead of a stand around island, it's an eat-in island with the 2 tables there, and it just encourages people to sit down, get off your feet, relax a little bit, or migrate to the couch or move to the outside. So I think really think about that island choice if you're going through the building process right now. Maybe everybody disagrees with me on that one. I don't know.
I love the way you think, Matt.
Yeah, and again, just think about everything in terms of form and function. So yeah, the island side of it was a piece of the puzzle. I think the feeling of indoor outdoor was really important. So putting the OptView gas strut pass-through windows became incredibly important. Using a clear garage door from Lux was important to give it that open feeling. And then we also lined up our front door and our back door in a way that when you walk in the front door, you have this feeling of openness to the back, and it kind of gives it kind of that almost see-through type of feel. That was one important design element. One other thing that we did a little differently too is in our garage, we put in a room that's 4x6. So if you look at the floor plan, you'll kind of wonder, what the heck is that? That 4x6 room, on one side is an exterior door out to our driveway, and then there's an interior door into our garage. That is our trash room. We put a room in there specifically to hold our rolling trash cans and our boxes, because my wife's like any other wife, will open the door to the garage and throw the trash in the garage, and it's my responsibility to get it out of there. And so I put that room in there so I didn't have to look at the Amazon boxes that were accumulating throughout the week until trash day. And I didn't have to go outside in the elements to take the bags out to the rolling trash cans either. So we have this trash room in the house that we really like as well.
That's in the garage?
Yeah, it's in the garage. It's just a small room, 4x6, with a door on both sides, one outside, one to the inside, just completely enclosed. And again, just a place that I don't have to look at the trash.
That is genius. I've never heard of it. I've never heard of that. And it's such a great idea. I mean, seriously, that it seems so simple, but it's such a great idea.
Thank you. The other thing, we off of our entertaining room, we put a urinal in the garage as well, just to cut down on the number of people that had to go inside. So there's a urinal, which gets a lot of attention. And then we also made sure to have a half bath with a door to the exterior. That's a pool bath. That's it's a little bit more common, but certainly getting a bathroom with a door to the outside was really important to us. So then finally, the other floor plan item that was really important was getting the laundry room central to the house and connected to my wife's side of the master closet. I think if you're a blue collar family that does a lot of work inside, I certainly understand why you put the laundry room and the mud room together. If you come home, hey, been working outside, muddy boots and that type of thing, and you got to get your clothes off right when you get home, I understand putting the laundry room there. A lot of floor plans accomplish it by putting the master on the same side of it. But for us, that's not our situation. I dress up for work every day, so I don't come home dirty. And I wanted it to be, hey, the mud room is the muddiest room of the house. Let's not put our clean laundry there. Let's get our laundry over closer and connected to the master closet. And that gives us a little bit more chance that it'll be put away. And then also it works out. We could just when it comes time to give the kids baths upstairs, I can just toss the clothes down and it's right there. Now, we didn't do a laundry chute. Maybe we could have done the laundry jet, but that would have been a little blow the budget up a little bit. Anyways, connecting the laundry room to the master became important. And then the other feature that gets the most attention of the house, which I do have to recommend to everyone, we did two of the Woodbridge bidet toilets that are heated. That was a little bit of a bonus. Okay, it was, normal toilets, 200, they were 1,000 each, but you never knew how much you needed a heated toilet seat until you had it, and the water is heated as well. It's just a fun little, okay, this whole thing was worth it. I forgot to mention that in the online resources, but Woodbridge, I think it's actually a California company, was very highly recommended around our house. And having a remote to your toilet was something that gets a lot of laughs. So.
Well, I'm so glad to hear that. I am someone who's never tried a bidet toilet, but did buy one. And so I'm glad to hear that it's going to be worth it. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, definitely. We did an Instagram that we did. I didn't do a great job of taking pictures. I felt like when I was over here, it was always hard to get the right pictures or anything that made sense during the framing process. So my Instagram was not really updated that very well. And then our gift to our builder and our subcontractors was that we hired a real estate photographer that does that professionally to come take pictures on the day of our final walkthrough. That way the house was clean and empty, and we started moving in immediately. I do want to give that as an advice to people that are building. Your contractor probably doesn't get good pictures of the house, because as soon as they get it all cleaned up and ready, you start moving in. And so we made a point to do that and get those professional photos. That was our gift to him, but we've really enjoyed having those pictures ourselves. And I also shot those to our tile guy, our electrician. We shared those photos with everyone that worked on it, so that they could use it on their websites, that they could use it on their own marketing materials. So that was, I think, a very cheap way to say thank you to them. So those, I think we'll put a link on the Build Your House Yourself website.
Yes.
You can see those photos on there. The social media account, I wanted to name that for Quinn so that he could take it over. Quinn Whitney Build 2022. Again, hopefully have a link on that. That was kind of all I wanted to cover, I think, on that.
Yeah, so that was so generous. That's a good idea too, Matt, and very generous of you. I'm sure they were very grateful for those photographs, and pretty easy to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's a lot more of the professional. I think that's pretty common in the age of Zillow. For real estates that have the photographers. So indeed.
Good idea. So you've talked a little bit about some challenges that you've encountered. I think a lot of it had to do with communication, but are there any other challenges that you wanted to discuss with us that you encountered that you would warn us about?
If you run into that appraisal issue, just be prepared, depending on your neighborhood. That was a big one for us, but all worked out in the end.
Now, what do you know now, Matt, that you wish you had known before you started building your house?
Assume nothing, right? I guess I'm a particular person. Now, I'm not somebody that's going to go overboard about tiny little details. The slightly offset tile that's off half an inch. Yeah. While you think it's going to bother you, when you get into the house, it's probably not going to actually bother you. So don't go overboard on those finer details, but more so just in terms of, hey, yeah, we're definitely going to have dishwasher here. We're going to have this here. Making sure that everything is prepared from the electrical side for that. Assume nothing in terms of like closets, for example. One of the things that we ran into was we opened up our pantries, and the closet shelves were built, I guess, what was standard, which was, I think, 18 inches. And we just opened them up, and they just weren't big enough. They weren't going to store everything we needed. And it was kind of like, man, I thought that was obvious. Like, look at the depth of this closet and make the shelves deep enough to store everything. We lose a lot of storage space. So it was one of those ones. And it was like, I thought they would have asked me that,
Yeah.
but they didn't.
Yes.
And so there's along the way, there were so many things. And I think to your point, all of the contractors, they do this a lot. They build a lot of houses. They do a lot of things. And if it's something they do regularly and everybody does it a certain way, they're just going to assume that you want it done the same way.
Yeah.
And so make sure if you want things done a particular way, you note it, you delineate it, you talk about it during walkthroughs. You make sure that it's captured in their notes. So that's probably my biggest tidbit, if you will.
Yeah, that's good advice. What part of building a custom house is the best part of building a custom home?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think to summarize everything that's happened with our contractor and the entire process, we're incredibly thrilled with the end product. It's really wonderful. It's a quality product done right and done well. We were happy with the painters having the selections, being able to get things the way you want it, and that custom part of it was just wonderful. Another example, we saw this idea at Homeowner, but we went ahead and built it in. We were able to adjust our floor plan to add a 2 foot by 2 foot floating shelf in our entryway. It's just a little alcove. We did it. It's a mail desk. You come in out of the garage, you drop your shoes, you got your phone, your wallet, your keys. Boom, there's a desk there for it, built in, and you have your mail. There's a place to drop the mail. So being able to do that and get that little feature custom built exactly the way you want it, that's got to be the best part, and there's no home that exists, I really think, anywhere that's anything like what we've done in the entertaining way and all of that. So that to hit all of our check marks was certainly the best part of the whole thing. And it's just my reminder to everybody. I think one of the days I was most frustrated, I had an opportunity. I was on the phone with a client who was in Florida, and their neighbor unfortunately had 5 foot of water in their living room, following the hurricane, and it really woke me up again and just reminded us we're incredibly lucky to have the opportunity to do what we're doing. And if you're building a custom home, you're just extremely fortunate. And that was that grounding experience as well. And so through the frustrations and through the ups and downs, know at the end, it'll be worth it. You'll get what you want, be able to customize it. And, we're lucky to have the opportunity.
Well, you have been wonderful, Matt. Remind us again of the social media accounts that you want us to take a look at. And of course, we'll have links in the show notes, as well as photos of your house and a diagram of your floor plan. But remind us of where we can see more of you or your house or whatever social media accounts you want us to know about.
We did the Instagram, Quinn Whitney Build 2022. So QUINN Whitney WITNEY Build BUILD 2022. That was their Instagram. We followed, or we created to follow along. Maybe I'll try to get some videos. I was going to put some of my favorite little features in video form. Maybe I'll do that over the next couple of weeks, and put that up on the Instagram. Yeah, I certainly think if you participate in the homes over 5,000, we did put a post with a lot of our professional photos on there and answered a lot of questions in terms of paint colors. Unfortunately, our post in the new home Q&A got deleted for various reasons, but regardless, I'm happy to answer questions online about paint color selections or whatever. And so if you refer to that post on the Facebook group, be happy to answer anything you have on there.
Well, thank you. One thing that really caught my eye is that your house, the exterior is darker, and man, is it sharp. It is so sharp, Matt. Do you remember the color that you used outside or no?
Yeah, certainly. Absolutely. Yeah. We went basically the all black theme. We used on our brick and the board and batten on the second story. We used Sherwin-Williams iron ore. And then on all of the trim and post, for example, we used Sherwin-Williams tricorn black. So it's very black, dark theme. At night, you almost can't tell the difference between the two. In sunlight, you'll see more of the gray from the iron ore. So yeah, absolutely. We love it. It does strike everyone differently. I think there's probably some talk in the neighborhood about whether or not everybody likes the black house, but we love it. So
I love it.
well,
I love it. And as long as you love it, that's all that matters. It is super sharp, Matt. You did a great job with it. I can't wait for everyone to see it. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us and give us your insights and your advice. You've been super helpful, such great ideas.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for the time and the chance to do it. And we'll go from there.
Thank you for joining me. I hope Matt's story is encouraging to you. A big thank you to him for being so open and sharing his out-of-the-box thinking and great ideas. Since I'm working so many hours and only able to publish new episodes sporadically, make sure you follow the podcast so when I do drop new episodes, they will immediately go into your podcast library. Thanks for stopping by. Please remember that the purpose of this podcast is simply to educate and inform. It's not a substitute for professional advice. The information that you hear is based only on the opinions, research, and experiences of my guests and myself. That information might be incomplete, it's subject to change, and it may not apply to your project. In addition, building codes and requirements vary from region to region, so always consult a professional about specific recommendations for your home.